here we are. Another day, another machine. On the table today is a very old Honda. Uh, yeah, let's see. Sticker's also worn off. I'm just gonna say it's old. There's a multitude of problems with this. I tried to convince the owner to just consider it a lost cause and move on, but nope, this is apparently the good machine. Kind of wonder what the bad machine looks like. But putting that aside, when I got it, it was filthy. I cleaned it. That's why there's water dripping down there now. And yeah, I don't really know a whole lot about it. He said it's broken. I ended up hurting my arm not that long ago, which is why I kind of took a small little break. And then I put it in the side, left it there for a while, and then he messaged me saying he injured himself and he's not going to need it for a while, and he's probably just going to pick it up and toss it. And then a week ago, messaged me again saying, hey, I'm going to need it, so get to work on it. Okay. So right off the bat, we have a cable problem. A few cable problems. In addition to that, there's some funkery going on with these wheels. Don't know what's going on there. May have to tighten them, bend them, weld them, who knows. I'm sure it doesn't run because it's been sitting outside for a couple months. It has been undercover, so at least that's good. But other than that, that's really the only redeeming quality of what it's been doing recently. Oh, and also one of the back wheels likes to lock up. Don't know why. These have a shaft that's driven off of the cam, I believe. I could be wrong. It could be the crank. I don't remember. But it goes directly to the drive wheels. I hate this system. It's the most irritating system ever. If anything goes wrong, there's like a pin in there or a clip, forget, that is designed to shear, and then once it shears, you have to take the engine off, open it up, reconnect everything. It's just a giant pain. It was a horrible design. But having said that, it's on the table. I'm hoping we don't have a self-propel issue. If we do, I very well might just tell him no. I don't work on these because I don't like them. Like I said, I have no idea what's going on here. Usually bungee cords aren't very stockish. It's usually a sign of a poor idea. Well, I think I already know the problem on this one. I think that wheel bearing is totally shot. Let's take a look. That came out. That's, I suppose, good. Oh yeah, both of these bearings are just tore up. I don't even think I see a bearing on this one. Unless that's what this used to be. I think that's what it used to be, because there's a... Yeah, that's the other side of the bearing. Yeah, and there's the other section right here. So we need new bearings. That's spectacular. Well, I think we're gonna work on... I need to go to a store for those, so I'm not gonna be doing that anytime today. So we're gonna put the wheel back on, put everything as it was. However, I think the other wheel has a different issue. Which is the same issue that's going on here. It's very, very loose. Is that just because it's not tight, or what? take a quick little gander. Is this the same size? No, of course not. How dare I assume it was going to be the same size? Let's just tighten it and see if it's just loose. Not just loose. But what's gonna fix this? Obviously this needs to be tighter on there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take another washer and put it on. See if that helps. I hope it goes without saying that this is probably not the best idea to fix this, but it is an idea. This guy just wants it to work. Trust me, he doesn't want to spend a lot on it. And I could totally understand why. So that's a lot better. I mean, you're always going to have a little bit of play, so I'm not going to be too worried about that. The other side needs the exact same thing. I have two of these washers. I'm just going to do that. I need to measure that bearing and take out the remnants right here, which is probably not going to be easy because I'm sure it's rusted on the shaft. We might need to get some fire. In fact, I'm positive we'll have to get some fire. Is there anything besides this handle that's going to be fire damaged? I don't think so. Let's try this. I'd love to use a acetylene right now, but I've been out of acetylene for like 2 years now. This is just MAP gas. It burns pretty hot. Most definitely a whole lot hotter than propane. I like to use penetrating oil to kind of help quench. Technically, when you do this, you should be quenching it, but that would require me to get a whole bunch of water. I don't really want to do that because it's already on the table. So we're gonna hopefully just be able to do this. If this doesn't work, we're just gonna cut the bad boy off. Yep, I don't think that's gonna work at all. That is seized on there good. I'm gonna take a little time. I'm gonna take it off the table. Actually, no, I can't because it's missing a wheel. Take a little time and do this a couple more tries, and maybe I'll just soak it, and we're gonna get that off. If not, we'll have to just cut it off, like I said. I mean, it's a busted bearing anyway. New super Summer's plant. We're gonna do this again. It's still really hot. Except now we take this put it under like so, put the gas away, and then in here I have some ice cold water. And of course it didn't catch at all, but what can you expect? And now it's dripping on the floor. Awesome. It's okay. Now let's see if this turns yet. And look at that. It is turning. Now, this is, I don't want to jinx myself, but probably the easy one because everything around here is metal. There's plastic on the outer ring of the bearing that's busted in the wheel. So to say that's going to be just loads of fun, it's just an understatement. So we're gonna let that cool, but at least we got that off. I'm gonna go dump the water and we'll look at the wheel. So I have this on the vise. We're gonna see if we can't just take it and tap it out. It's not gonna be easy, I'm sure. Not even well, maybe a little bit. Maybe it will be easier if we take out this one. Wow. I think I see part of the bearing that exploded. Yep. Well, let's continue on moving. The unfortunate part is this is just not going to be fun or easy. Let's take a look at this, see if we can just hammer it out. Well, the other one's broken too. That's good. And now it's just coming out in pieces. This is the good bearing. I say that with a looseness of reality. Well, it's coming. Not willingly, but it's coming. There we go. That's the first part. Now we have this one. There we go. Out. So I'm going to, oh, here it is. I'm going to keep this because this is going to be good for figuring out the new one. And I'm also going to take the inner piece. This one's not nearly as important because you want to be the same size, don't get me wrong, but if it's like couple thousandths of an inch off and it's a little wobbly, it's not going to be the end of the world. I mean, it's not like it's running super fast speeds. So I'm going to keep these two together, and when I go to the store, I'm just going to buy something that has both the inner diameter and the outer diameter, and I'll get two. Yeah, just two. When looking at the other wheel, that one doesn't seem too bad at all. On the other side, it's getting a little nasty. I'm kind of wondering if I should just replace them anyway. I mean, I might as well buy four. I mean, they're not that expensive. They're like a couple bucks each. And this one in the inside right here, I can see the seal is not doing its only purpose in life. It's a little broken. I mean, it's old. So I'm going to take out the same. I'm going to take out these bearings. Maybe I can keep an intact one. That would be nice. I can just take the intact one with me. But either way, it's just best to replace all four. But I'm going to do the same washer trick on the other side as well right now. Now that we have our wheel problem at least figured out, still need to get the parts. Let's look at some of the other potential problems. And I do have that cable, so we're going to put that cable on next. I only hope that the other cables are not broken as well. So I don't have those. That is for sure. No spiders or bugs or any unwantables so far. Actually, it doesn't look... I don't know. It looks pretty nasty. Never mind. Yeah, that's why I replaced on. I replaced the pull cord on this machine. That's right. Yeah, it's looking pretty packed. We'll need a new air filter. I might already have one, I don't remember. If it takes the same as the smaller versions, because I think this is 190cc. If it takes the same as the 160, I do have the 160. So it looks like we have a screw over here, just a standard Phillips. Well, I wouldn't say standard, but I'm sure it's a JIS, there we go. Japanese industrial standard. It's really nasty and gooey in here. Ugh. You know what? That's why I don't like working on this machine. It's always really nasty. Let me take off the 210mm right there real quick. See, and this is just one of the reasons why I don't like working on this machine. I hope it comes across on camera how oil covered this is and how just nasty it is. I mean, this thing just pretty much needs a new rebuild on it. But it's also old enough where you're going to be spending a whole lot more just doing anything to do anything on it, like to rebuild it. I mean, pretty much, like I said, anything. It's going to be costing a whole lot more money than you really need to even spend on. A new machine that's commercial would be a much better use of your funds. So if you have a machine like this and it's anywhere near this condition, stop the video now. Go on your phone, go to your local store that you'd be purchasing it from, Home Depot, Lowe's, a local dealer, anything, wherever you find satisfaction, and see how much they are. And then after you're done seeing how much they are, buy it. Don't do any of what we're doing today. But then come back and finish the video so you can understand and make kind of like console yourself on your recent large purchase. You know, it will be a little expensive, but after watching what we're doing, you'll thank yourself for just biting the bullet. Luckily, this is pretty much the same on every Honda, so that's good. Hoping not to do anything weird with the choke lever or linkage. Okay, good, I don't. We're just gonna leave that be. And with the top off, I didn't really mention it, but this is three nuts to hold it on top. It's the same ones that hold the pull cord on. Just take them off. This is nasty. I'm gonna try to de-nasty it over the trash can real quick, and then we'll take a look at it in the carb station. Oh, let's see what goodies are in store for us in this. Dry. Well, that's surprising. Is that on or off? I think that's off. Oh. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the reason why it wouldn't start. The person that owns this employs a few people who, let's just say, are a little bit too young and inexperienced, and they do some very interesting stuff with his machines. But he's a small guy, needs to work, hires a few kids to help out, so it's how the cookie crumbles. I'm really kind of contemplating if I should just go to this store now and pick up those bearings. If I could get this taken care of today, I would love it. Just love it. Yeah, this wasn't very dirty at all. Still gonna get cleaned because I already have it off. Might as well. Oh, it doesn't have one of those removable bowl bottoms. That's interesting. If you hear a noise, it's because my battery was low on my impact and I had to get a new one. So FYI. We're also going to put that in the cleaner. That was a little nasty. I'm not going to show the reassembly because it's literally just the exact opposite of this. What I will say is I'm going to clean out the main jet with a wire brush, and then after I'm going to clean out this jet with also a wire brush. The jet is in the plastic, so I'm gonna use this to take it out. It's a little tip, but in order to see it, you're gonna have to look at my Instagram. Small Engine 101. On Instagram, you'll see this reel. Let me go ahead and do that. It is out. I'm going to put this in a cleaner. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm not going to show you how to put it back together. It's the exact opposite. And we'll put it back on the machine, and we'll look at the cables afterwards. I'm going to take this off. I mean, technically, this is supposed to be a set, but it's not really setting anything because there's nothing to hold on to. Now, is there? There we go. Take that off, and we will put the new one on. The new one is going to be part number 17. It's either 910-VK6-003 or V9. Excuse me, 17910. Not really sure. But you have two ends. This end, that end. That goes up top on your handlebar. This goes where we need to put it now. Just going to drape the other end off the side. So that's choke right there, all the way back. And we're just gonna not worry about tightening anything at the moment because that just seems wrong. Is it bent? I think it's bent. Yeah, let's just bend it back. Okay. Just simply goes in like that. So what we're going to do as a loose adjustment right now is we're going to put this on like so. Oh, I put this on backwards. Okay, putting this on like so, and then we're going to push this cable back as much as we can for the time being. We're going to tighten this up. So right now the choke is on, and if we need to, we can adjust the handle. So let's go ahead and put this down and we'll work on the handlebar. So try as I will, I'm not going to get a good angle on how to do this. So I'm just going to kind of explain. When you get the cable, it's actually like this with this cover on it. You take the cover, push it up, take this off. This is too fat to fit through the little guide, but the wire isn't. So you put the wire through, and then you just put this through the guide, and then you adjust the tension with these. Now you want to keep it so the handle in the resting position is taut but not like loose. And then afterwards, you just want to put on choke to make sure your choke's working. If it's binding up, you need to adjust it, so on and so forth. So my apologies on not really showing any of that, but I'll show you what it looks like after I'm done. It's underneath a plastic cover and everything, so it's just not going to be very easy. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. This next day I went to the store, got some bearings. They were a little bit larger on the outside diameter, so I asked the guy, okay, I can't get them locally, I can order them. It's going to be pretty much the same price as new tire or new wheels entirely, and he's decided just to have me buy the local ones, and I just kind of grind out the center a little bit. It was like a thousandth of an inch. You can press it in there, but I didn't want to risk cracking it, which I still pressed it in there, which brings me to why we are looking at the old one. There are a variety of ways of installing bearings, and no one way is right. because the right way for one is going to be the wrong way for another. What I mean by that is this. If whatever you're anchoring this bearing to, let's say for instance the screwdriver was what you're wanting this bearing to ride on, if this is going to be a tight fit, you're going to want to put pressure on the inside roller area. You do not want to put it on the outside because that can damage it. Now, in our case, let's say this cap is the wheel. You press it in. You don't want to be pressing on the center because the same thing. You're going to want to press on the sides or all of it equally at the same time. There's tricks you can do. This one you can't heat up, but you can put it in the freezer for a couple hours, day, whatever. It will shrink a little bit. And then additionally, you can also put, assuming you can heat up, if it's metal, the outside surrounding piece. If you're putting something, let's say for instance, like again, the screwdriver in there, you're going to want to put this in the freezer, and you want to get this warm. You know, put it in warm water if it's sealed. I wouldn't really recommend the water part. I would just say heater, heat gun, just enough so you don't damage it. So beware of that, especially this type that has like the full plastic seals. So I already have them installed. Let's go ahead and I'm going to put some fuel in the mower and we'll see if it runs. Before we get into turning it on, I was checking the oil. It's very, 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 very low. And it's very, very, very dark. And I was wondering why it was so low, and then I turned it over to kind of empty out the old oil and put in new oil. Granted, I don't really like doing that when it's cold, but you know, you have to do what you have to do. I was gonna just put in used oil, but oddly enough, my used oil is in a harder to obtain location, so I'm just gonna put new oil in. Then I looked at the bottom and I noticed all the oil on everything. This is pretty much a sign that your crank seal is toasted. Oil will seep out from the bottom crank seal, get everywhere. Your blade flings it everywhere. Gets disgusting. I'm surprised this clutch even works, to be honest. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It very well might not. But either way, it's bad. Let's turn it over. It's been sitting for like 10 minutes probably. Maybe a little longer. 12. Yeah, that's what came out of it. I don't know. A couple ounces. That's not good. And it smells just horrible. So let this be a lesson. Yet again, this machine does need a rebuild. I'm not going to do it, but if your bottom seal is leaking, you're going to see what we have here. I already put fuel in it. I put the oil, and we'll be right back. Oil's in, fuel's in, choke is on. Technically, if I pull on that, it should start. 100% expecting when I turn on the blade clutch it either to not work. Even if it does work, I'm sure it's going to shoot grass everywhere. Tried to clean most of it out, but it's just caked in there. I would have to pressure wash it in. It's a little cold outside for that, so it's about 30 degrees. It's just going to get colder from here forward. Let's see if it turns on. It's not looking promising now, is it? The choke should be on. Let's make sure of that. Can't really tell from this angle. Let's cheat a little bit. Put the old filter back on because I don't have a new one. I guess the guy that owns this has a new one. When I called him about the wheel, I told him I was going to order bearings and a filter. He told me not to bother with the filter. So, I'm not going to bother with the filter. Where's some cheater juice? Cheaters. Here we go. I've never tried the non-chlorinated in the engine before. I wonder if it's flammable. I think it is. Just in case. Let's give that a twirl. That's not good at all. Do we not have spark? Spark plug is connected. Would not surprise me if we don't. Let's check this out. It was outside. Maybe had a little water in the engine. Don't know. No, nothing like that. Dry. It's disgusting, but it's dry. Let us ground that a little bit. Give it a pull. See if we see spark. Yep, there's spark in there. Pretty decent spark. Let's get a compression tester. Compression testers are great, except they only tell you part of the story. Because if it has a compression release, you're never going to get a true and accurate reading. You'll get, generators especially are super common for that. You'll think it's a bad engine because you did a compression test and it's like 60, 65 psi or something. And you'll go through it. In reality, it just had a compression release. I only pulled it twice, but let's see. That's not good. I'm gonna move you so I can make sure you don't fall over and pull it like 2 or 3 more times to see if it goes up any higher. It's been about 4 or 5 pulls. Let's see what we have. That's not good. Let's hope it's the valves. I think get something that puts the front end up. The valve cover on a Honda sometimes will leak oil if it's level, so I want to tip this up so the back wheels, it's kind of at an angle. Let's go do that. 10 millimeters later. Let's leave that there in case it drips. Low compression, you're looking for a tight valve. So far it's on the, I don't know, what is that? That would be the exhaust, I think, is currently being pressed in. So let's turn it a little bit because the intake seems fine. Also, it could be a stuck valve. Yeah, no, that's not good at all. So don't think we have a valve problem. I think we just have a poor engine problem. So there's something else you can do. I'm going to fill the cylinder with a little bit of oil, just a little bit. I don't want to hydrolock it. I'm going to take the recoil off. I'm going to slowly spin it with a drill using the flywheel. And I want to kind of coat the cylinder. I want to see if doing that, the entire cylinder will be lubricated, and then I'm going to run the compression test again. So basically what we're going to look, and we're going to see a dramatic increase. It's always going to be a little higher. It's just how it's going to work. But if you get a significantly larger number, you have a problem. So let's get that started. I'm going to put a little marble down the plug hole. I have the marble here. Let's put a little bit down. I guess we're not going to do a lot. I'm not going to have a plug in there, so if I did hydrolock it, it'll just spit it out. Granted, I don't want to do that because it will get everywhere. So very slowly going to spin it. What's going on with this drill? Try the other direction. Okay. Let's see what we have now. So we got like 80 something, low 80s. If it's like 110 or something, we know we have a ring problem or a bore problem or some type of wear problem. And it's almost exactly the same. What I'm going to do is going to spin it around for a little bit of time, and then I'm going to put some carb cleaner directly into the spark plug hole. Sometimes there could be like rust or carbon or something in the seat of the valve, in between the seat and the valve, I should say, and it could potentially be doing leaking compression. Usually at this point you'd put a top dead center and you would do a leak down test, but my leak down tester for whatever reason is broken, so we can't do that quite yet. You can just take the hose and just do it the old-fashioned way, but you just kind of listen and see where the air is coming out. But if this isn't going to start, I don't really care which way it isn't. This isn't going to be repaired, at least not by me. Out of giggles, I decided to, like I said, put the carb spray in there, spin it around for a minute, do the oil again, spin it around for a minute, do the carb spray, shot a whole bunch of oil in a rag, and then I did that. I think it should be okay. So I did not test the resistance of the old plug. It sparks, but you can have spark outside a normal atmosphere, but then when you go under compression, it can't jump the gap, at least not very well, not hot enough. So checking for spark with just grounding it out like we were doing is a good way to see if your coil is potentially going bad, but not necessarily if your spark plug is legitimately where it should be, because they do wear out. So I'm going to put in a brand new plug to just take that out of the question. That we don't have to worry about any random problems. the torque spec for this machine is 1 click. Okay, 2 clicks. See, 2 clicks. 2 clicks. It just needs to be tight. You don't have to potentially break them. Okay, there's a new plug. Sprayed a little carb cleaner down the plug hole, so at the very least it should pop. We clean the carb, it should be good. There's fuel, it should be good. Not 100% sure if it's on. I think it's on, but we should at least hear it for a second or two. I'll just turn the choke off to full throttle. That's another thing. This was on full throttle. When you do a compression test, you want it to be on full throttle. So that's good, kind of. Let's do this. Maybe that's on. I don't know. I didn't really pay too much attention. And for whatever reason, I cannot keep it in my mind which way is which. But it's not warm, so let's put it on choke. Let's give it a moment or two and see if that is gonna work. We're waiting for the bowl to fill, if the fuel is off, of course. Wish I could say that surprised me, but it didn't. So it runs. That's good. I need to adjust the cable from the looks of it because I can't turn it off. So I'm going to put it to off, redo it the other way, and then we're going to let it run a little bit more. I'm going to put the air filter on so we don't get what inevitably is going to be shot in the air from years of misuse. And we'll give it a pull. Okay, it's on the floor. I adjusted it. I hear the click of the switch when it goes off. I see the choke on, so it should be okay. Assuming that switch is okay. If not, then there's a problem. So let's see what we have. Now we're going to check the clutch and the self-propel. There's some serious riggery going on here, so who knows. Let's turn it off choke and see if it turns on without choke. It's not that lucky. Really? You know what? Really helps when you do that. Wow, that's kind of a miracle. It starts, it turns off, it runs, it doesn't have to have a bungee cord anymore, and it should be good to go. So it's done. Like I said, it starts, it runs, it drives, it uses the clutch. Not going to bother with the rest of it. It should be, like I said, rebuilt, but I'm not going to be the one doing that. I've been a little hard on this machine, but I just don't think it's really worth a whole lot more additional work. Excuse me. The wheels are in good condition, so that's good. Something I do kind of like using is this. I put it in the fuel. It's supposed to lubricate valves, pistons, quiet noisy engine, and so on and so forth. I think you're supposed to either put it in the fuel and then you're supposed to add it in the motor oil. So I did both. The motor oil is the part that is supposed to quiet the noisy part, I believe. But hopefully, maybe that will help with a little bit of the wear. Even though it did go up to 120, I think that's a wet reading because of all the oil and everything I put in there. So there's a difference in the compression test. There's a difference between a dry and a wet reading. The reason why we're looking for a big difference is the wet reading is always going to have a little bit more. It's just going to be a higher reading because the oil's kind of taking the place of where the ring should be, and it's going to be, higher. Having said that, it seems to run pretty decent. It idles fine. It revs up. I put the clutch on at a lower speed. It doesn't die, so that's good. I do think there is a seal problem on the crank, but potentially in the future I can ask him if he wants me to do that. I don't think so, but who knows? Maybe we'll see this machine again and everything good to go. The bearings seem to be fine. It's actually really, really smooth. If I was going to do all four wheels, it'd been substantially more expensive. I think each one of those bearings costs $9 each at my local store, and I had to modify it. So if you got I think the real ones, if I remember correctly, from Honda, were roughly about the same price, but I mean, you have $20 per wheel, and then it just doesn't seem worth it, especially when you do all four. And these are good wheels. They have a lot of traction. Okay, I'm rambling. So what did we learn? We learned how to remove a seized bearing that has exploded. That works with pretty much any type of rusty metal piece like that. If you have something rusted on there, and it's okay to put heat around it, put as much heat as you can. Acetylene's best, but just don't deform it or misshape it or damage it. MAP gas is the next best one. That's what I used. It just takes a little bit longer, but you still can get a pretty good result, as we saw. It is important to quench it. You have to put cold water on it. What that does is it takes the expanded metal and rapidly shrinks it. The rapid shrinking just helps break things apart, and so is the expansion. So the going from hot to cold really gets things moving. Other than that, I think we're good to go. If you have any problems with your wheels, having to need what we saw earlier, the bungee cord to keep them together, or if your cable is busted and you need to install it, granted you didn't see a whole lot of that unfortunately, but it's not that hard of a process. Other than that, I think we're good. Have a good evening. I'll see you later. Definitely subscribe. Catch me on Instagram at smallengine101. Put a comment below and a thumbs up if you liked it. And don't forget to subscribe. See you later.